Happy Death Day is a mix between movies like Mean Girls, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Groundhog Day. And this surprisingly works.
This isn't going to make any sense.
Stop global warming?
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
You sneaky little biatch. Happy birthday.
I've already lived through this day. Somebody's going to kill me tonight. So you're getting here now.
Going into this film, I wasn't sure what to expect. You know, I'm a fan of Blumhouse, but he also, along with doing good films, he also does a lot of shit. And I couldn't tell from the trailer if this would be a good film or a shit film. And, you know, it's a little bit of both, but overall, it's just a lot of fun. Like, if you go into it expecting, like, a straight-up horror film, or if you go into expecting, like, some amazing movie, you're going to be disappointed. But if you go into it expecting, you know, a fun kind of slasher take on Groundhog Day, you'll have a really good time. And, you know, I had a good time. I thought that a lot of stuff it did was pretty good. And, you know, the main character, Jessica Ross, she was really good. I bet she'll be featured in more films after this. And, you know, everyone else was pretty good, too. Although, again, all the kids, they weren't kids. Like, they look like, most of them look like they were 30, and they're all in college. But, you know, what are you going to do? So the setup for the film is that Jessica Ross, she wakes up in this guy's room, Israel Broussard, and, you know, you're not sure exactly what happened there, but she got drunk last night and ended up in his room. And, you know, what's the good thing is that in the trailer, they have that 50 Cent song, "It's Your Birthday," whatever. That is not playing at all. Instead, it's almost like a chip tunes, like, sort of, "It's Your Birthday," like, ringtone. So you don't have to worry about being annoyed by that song. But when she kind of goes on her day, and she's, like, in a sorority, and kind of is bitchy to everyone, and at the end of the day, she is murdered. Immediately after, she wakes up back at the beginning of the day, and kind of repeats it, and that goes on, you know, following the, you know, the whole shenanigans of the Groundhog Day. And I liked a lot of stuff it did, like, but the only thing, instead of going for the horror or like the more thrilling aspect of like a slasher film, it generally took the more comedic route, and I really enjoyed that. I like comedic horror films, and you know, a lot of times, like, if someone would if she would be like getting ready to maybe have sex with a guy, and the guy would be getting stabbed to death in the next room or whatever, and then she'd look back like, "Oh no!" And like, it's a lot of little funny moments like that. The other thing is, you can tell it's a PG-13 movie, and it was previously an R film, it was cut down to PG-13, and sometimes it feels a little bit like, you know, kind of a detriment to the film, just because there's like no blood, and like, even some of the more violent scenes, you know, it's not like there's no blood. And it's like, okay. But I wish, you know, for a real slasher film, it would have been cool if there was more, like, gruesome things going on. Like, even, like, comedic blood. Like, you know, I think it would have been better if it was, like, more violent. Even though if in the comedic way, like, people get buckets of blood splashing everywhere, you know. And that it is, when it's bloodless like that, it's just kind of, whatever. But, you know, hopefully they'll do, like, director's cut of the film when it releases on Blu-ray. You know, I like the route it took with it, where she kind of confides in with the Israel Broussard guy, and, like, gets his help a little bit, and gets advice from him, and thinks, well, maybe try to go through your list and see, like, and spend each death trying to figure out who did it. And that's some cool stuff with that. But at the same time, it's a little annoying when you say, hey, instead of doing that, why not just use one of your deaths to do everything you can to take the mask off the guy? And, you know, that's just a little plot hole. But, you know, what are you going to do? You don't want to spoil the ending. Also, there's a cool little twist on the concept, which I think they included in the one trailer, where she at one point realizes that she's getting weaker after every death. And she goes and gets scans, and that there's, like, scar tissue, like, in where she's been killed each time. And that's a pretty cool idea. And it kind of brings more of that, you know, you can't keep going on forever. You have to stop this before, you're filled with scar tissue. The only problem is it doesn't really work with the one death, especially. The other deaths all work, but there's one death where if that was giving you scar tissue, she should have had her whole outer body covered in scar tissue. And, it's a little tough. I don't know how, they say exactly how it works, but you think that, they kind of show how it works, and you think that she should be covered in scar tissue after that one death. But still, I enjoyed how it played with that idea. So towards the end, there's a couple of twists with the killer things. And I knew what was going on. I was like, okay, let's go. I kind of had an idea. And I wish they'd done it slightly differently. Especially towards, the very end. And I don't want to spoil it. But I wish they'd done something where, at the end, it was a new day. And then she moved on and had to fight the killer when she knew that she maybe didn't have an extra life in case she failed. You know what I mean? I think that would have been cool. Because, the whole time you knew that, yeah, maybe I can't have too many more deaths. But, if I fail, I'm still going to wake up. I think it would have been cool if we did something different at the end. Where, it was the next day. And, if she didn't beat the person, then she would die for real. And I think that would have been a nice little end instead of what they did with the ending, where she was still kind of in her Groundhog Day sort of moment. So, it has some problems, but it's still just so much fun. It's not an amazing film, so I only give it probably an 8 out of 10. But it's a really fun movie, especially for a Halloween season. You should probably check it out. But thanks for watching, and check other video playlists around my head, or subscribe to me over here. Thanks for watching.